Hey, my Liptons. So I just got done finishing this CM Punk interview with Ariel Helwani. I think that's how you say his name, Helwani or Helwani. I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong. I know I'm a couple of days late. Listen, if y'all have been especially the last video that I did based on anything wrestling, I said, lately I've been taking a break from like the wrestling community and anything wrestling because like it's been a little bit too toxic for me. And so it's just like I need a break. I need something to distract myself. But I have been keeping up here and there, based on news, based on everything. And I do know that it is WrestleMania week or weekend. They're making it 2 nights, even though I hate that. I think WrestleMania should just be one night and that's it. But whatever. Um, but I did want to talk about this because I did see that a few, CM Punk's name has been on the news. What is new? So I just got done watching this interview. So I'm gonna try to make this not too long. Um, because this interview was a long interview. And listen, I wanna first of all, I wanna give props to Ariel Helwani. This guy, like, he knows how to interview. He knows how to interview. He knows how to serve questions. Like, I remember watching like a few interviews from him in the past, like with the Tonykhan interview, Seth Rollins' interview, Triple H's interview. Like, he really gets into it with the guest that comes on his platform, and he's gonna ask the hard questions too. Like, even though it might seem like he seems pretty chill and pretty, but like he definitely asks the questions that the people are thinking of, what the people want to know, and whether the person being interviewed answers it or not. At least Ariel is the one that asks those questions. So I definitely appreciate that. I think that he's a great interviewer. I definitely understand why the WWE is in business with him, but at the same time, I know like WWE is also like, especially some of the questions that Ariel Hawani be asking. I know like they're kind of like, ugh, they're kind of cringing a little bit because like, especially with this interview with CM Punk, like Ariel Hawani asks about Vince McMahon. They got into a little bit of that stuff, the allegations and especially with AEW. Like, I think that WWE for the most part, they don't really like other wrestling companies being mentioned on anybody that they're working with or on their platforms. So the fact that like a majority of this interview was like mostly about CM Punk's time in AEW, and CM Punk was spilling tea. Really, the only thing that he didn't really talk about, because unfortunately there's an NDA involved, is like the whole brawl out situation that happened with the Elite. That was like the only thing. Other than that, CM Punk was spilling tea, honey. Like, it's to the point where I had to like, and shout out to this person, I had to take screenshots of the timestamps on YouTube. You know what I mean? I had to take it because it's just like he was really going in, and it's like Ariel Hawani got into some things, and he really served us. Like, we were well fed for this interview. So I'm gonna discuss a few things that CM Punk discussed in this interview. I'm gonna, and obviously I'm gonna talk about my thoughts and what I think about this whole thing towards the end of this video. But before I get in, before I continue, make sure y'all are subscribed to my channel. Make sure listen, let's keep the brand going up. Let's get to 900 subscribers. The goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. And by the way, if y'all want to look at any previous videos I did based on anything wrestling, anything WWE, a few things about AEW, y'all can go on my wrestling talk playlist on my YouTube channel. All the videos are there. Y'all guys can go look those up. So, CM Punk is clearly hurt. The tricep and everything. He's still healing. He's still going through his things. So, Ariel Helwani basically, I guess, began the interview asking about like the relationship with him and Triple H, and that conversation that happened. And I'll be honest with y'all, I mean, listen, when Ariel Helwani, and I'm glad I'm glad Ariel asked about this and so forth, because I did want to get CM Punk's answer. But like, CM Punk, he kept, talking about in the interview, like, oh, the conversations that I had with Triple H, and they were just, FaceTiming, and, it was water under the bridge. And he brought up again, like, that, they sent the termination papers through FedEx on his wedding day and so forth. And I was just like, when I was listening to this, I would like, and listen, I get it, people go through things, there's ups and downs, people forgive each other, but it's just like, for me, and don't get me wrong, there's going to be parts in this review on this video where I'm going to be defending CM Punk, but I do have to call this out, because I'm sorry, like, I don't buy it, and I don't fall for it. It's like this whole, like, water under the bridge thing with Triple H and WWE, and oh, if Nick Khan wasn't the CEO, this would have never happened, and blah blah blah. There's just parts of me that feel like CM Punk is kind of two-faced in a way. There's no shade. Like, I have to be honest. I have to be like, give my own opinion. Even though he does come off like very like, you know, okay, like, I'm honest, or I told the truth, or like, I'm about that life and so forth. But there is a side of CM Punk where I do think that he's a little bit hypocritical and two-faced, because it's like, okay, like, okay, water under the bridge, we all move on. And listen, like, I get it. You're doing things for business purposes, you're doing things for your money, you're doing things for your coin. But it's like, you just reminded us again that these people fired you on your wedding day. We can look back at multiple shoot interviews where you dragged the ever living hell out of WWE for, like, like, when you're going through your health issues, your health problems, and the injuries, the doctors that they had backstage. Like, not even as recent. I'm not just talking about a decade ago with some of these draggings. Like, even with the whole situation with Sasha Banks and Naomi, he was throwing shade. Like, in AEW, he was just throwing shade. So to me, it's kind of like, and another thing too, I wished Ariel Helwani could have asked, and I know I'm going off topic here. I wish he could have asked about, like, the whole, like, William Regal. Y'all remember that news or something like that? I don't know. Maybe it could be Dirt Sheet Writers, whatever. But like, that those articles that came out, like, after CM Punk was fired from AEW, that, like, apparently CM Punk had issues with William Regal when he came to AEW, and there was a beef there. I wish Ariel Helwani could have asked about that too, because I wanted to get some information on that. But it's like, it's all those things. It's like, listen, Punk, you know damn well you don't like Triple H, and Triple H knows damn well he does not like CM Punk. It is what it is. I think that, they're doing this front, obviously not because it's for business purposes. He signed to WWE. CM Punk is head of creative. Let's just make our money and we'll go our separate ways. Like, to me, it's like, this whole, like, water under the bridge narrative is kind of like, I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. I think this is the front. This is the front to me. And, even like CM Punk is even, like, said through this interview that, like, he's a little bit more reserved, and Triple H is a little bit, like, surprised by that or something. It's just this whole dynamic. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I just think that, in a weird way, Punk didn't really stand on his word, or stand on, I think, as they call it nowadays, he didn't stand on business. He didn't stand on business when it came to what he believes in and what he thinks is right and so forth and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, especially about WWE, because you had such an issue with WWE and how they do things and their structure and so forth. You talk all that stuff for a decade. You continue to do the same, to do it in AEW, and then here you come back, and even though, yes, they reached out to you, but it's like, you accepted and you went back. So to me, it's like, I don't know. there's just something about it that I don't buy it with this whole front that they're having, this whole water under the bridge kumbaya front. But whatever, I guess it, if y'all like it, I love it. So it is what it is. What else did he talk about? Okay, so yes, he did also talk about Vince McMahon a little bit. He sort of was just like, he met Vince once when he came back, and that's when the whole new allegations came out again that he left, and Vince is basically saying that Vince is trash, and that Vince he's not right for the business right now, so he can just stay in his corner and be gone. So that's basically what he said about Vince McMahon. And honestly, I think universally that's what we all believe. Honestly, y'all, Vince is just, he really ruined his legacy. He ruined his legacy. He ruined everything that he built for BS. So that's just it. So yeah, that was the Vince McMahon piece. So, okay, you know what? Let me just get to the Jack Perry thing. Let me just talk about Tony Khan and the Jack Perry piece of this thing. Because when I was listening to this part, y'all, I was just like, oh my goodness, like, what is going on in AEW for the life of me? When CM Punk was narrating this situation with Jack Perry and the glass, and by the way, y'all, if y'all want to hear my thoughts on the whole Jack Perry situation, I did a whole roast video. I think I did a part 1 and a part 2. Y'all guys can go on my Wrestling Talk playlist on my YouTube channel. But like, I did a whole roast of like Jack Perry, and I dragged the shit out of him. And that's actually the part where I defended CM Punk in a way, because I was just like, why are you using real glass for your wrestling match? Like, why, or like, why? I didn't understand that at all. So that whole situation, I was mostly defending CM Punk, and I also dragged Tony Khan too, because I felt like Tony Khan was just not being a boss. And basically, CM Punk confirmed basically everything that, people that are not really into AEW, people that criticize AEW, or like, people that tune into the product, and they're not liking what they're seeing, and some of the antics and the foolishness that Tony Khan does, on social media and the scrums, what he says, it's really confirming everything that we've known. So basically, CM Punk, okay, so Tony Khan, oh God, okay. So CM Punk started with talking about Jack Perry, because Ariel Helwani asked, like, can you talk about anything that happened? And so this was after the brawl out. CM Punk, he went to Tony Khan. He was like, listen, so what's, like, no, after brawl out, CM Punk told Tony Khan, just let me go. Like, I don't want to come back. Tony Khan was like, no, I'm not letting you go. I want you to come back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make separate shows. I'm just going to separate you and the Elite. I'm going to give you Collision. Let the Elite be on Dynamite or Rampage or something. And CM Punk thought that was very stupid, because it's like, why not get us all in one room and let us squash it like a boss is supposed to do? But whatever, he went with whatever Tony Khan wanted. So CM Punk was on Collision. They went to London, and that's where Tony Schiavone came to CM Punk and was like, oh, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry is like cursing people out, because we're trying to tell him that, like, he shouldn't use real glass for his match. It's a hazard. It's a safety issue. He's cursing people out. So CM Punk was just like, listen, please do not involve this. According to what CM Punk says, I'm going by what CM Punk said. CM Punk said, listen, no ma'am, I'm not, please don't put me into this. Do not put me. And then Tony Giovanni was like, please, no, you have to, because at the end of the day, Collision was created for CM Punk. But my thing is, when I was listening to this, I was like, wait a minute. So, where was Tony Khan in this situation? Why did Tony Schiavone go to CM Punk instead of going to Tony Khan, who is the boss? Right? So I'm like, is CM Punk the boss, or is Tony Khan the boss? Like, which one is it? And this really shows, like, Tony, oh my God, I'm going to talk about Tony Khan later. But, like, So he went to CM Punk, and right then and there, I was confused. I was like, wait a minute. Tony Khan should have been the one who should have stopped that, not CM Punk. CM Punk is the talent. Whatever. CM Punk says that he goes to Jack Perry. He tells Jack Perry, listen, like, and he said, apparently what he said it very nicely. Like, he wasn't angry or mad or real abrasive or anything. He was just like, listen, it's a safety issue. Like, don't do the class, whatever. Jack Perry goes out to the match while CM Punk was, backstage, and Jack Perry did the thing, and with the wrestler, with the real glass or whatever, and Jack Perry was like, real glass, cry me a river BS. So CM Punk then says that he goes to Tony Khan, and he tells Tony Khan, he's like, listen, you need to, when Jack Perry comes backstage, when he comes back after this match, you better talk to him, because if I do, it's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be pretty, because I'm gonna be that ass. And apparently Tony, and honestly at this point I believe it. Tony Khan apparently said that, oh, what you want me to do? And I was just like, when CM Punk said that, Tony Khan said that, I was just like, oh my God, this is, I can't. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. You can't make this stuff up. Apparently Tony Khan said, well, what you want me to do? Like, I don't, do what? Do what? Like, Tony Khan really said that. Like, he really stood on, like, I'm sorry. Tony Khan is such a pussycat. Like, I can't. So Jack Perry comes behind the scenes, and then CM Punk was like, okay, so you're not going to handle it, boss? Okay, I guess I'm going to have to do it. CM Punk goes to Jack Perry, and he was just like, listen, like, what's the tea? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Why? Jack Perry was like, oh, and then this according to what CM Punk says, Jack Perry was like, oh, well, if you got a problem with it, you could do something about it. You could do something about it. So this is so stupid. So CM Punk was like, I like, I can kill you. I can eat you up for lunch. Like, don't play with me. So he didn't go into detail about like the physical altercation, but he said, oh, I didn't punch nobody, but it was just a little bit of choking. So that was that. Here's also another piece that I'm very like surprised about. So Ariel Helwani asked CM Punk, basically, he was like, listen, Tony Khan, after sort of, because, CM Punk said that, he quit. CM Punk claimed that he's the one that quit, that Tony Khan didn't fire him. He quit that day. And it was Samoa Joe that convinced him to go do the match, and then, he left. But, and the whole security guard wanted him to go. But, that was the whole thing. But the thing is, what was interesting, though, is that Ariel Helwani was like, oh, but like, Tony Khan said that he fired you, and he fired you with cause, and he felt like his life was in danger because you allegedly tried to, do a knuckle sandwich on him. So CM Punk alluded to, I guess I don't know if he's confirming or he's denying that, like, he ever lunged at or tried to attack Tony Khan. He basically said that Tony Khan was lying, that that Punk tried to put hands on him. So at this point, I'm gonna be honest with you, with the amount of tea that CM Punk was spilling in this interview, I would be very, like, at this point, I'll be very surprised if there isn't like new lawsuits being ran up, because I don't know what's true, I don't know what's false at this point, because now it's Tony Khan's word against Punk's word when it comes to that situation, because it's like Tony Khan claims that CM Punk did lunge at him and, fired him with cause and so forth. And that's lawyer talk right there. CM Punk is claiming that, or alluding to the fact that that was not that case. Like, he never tried to attack or put hands on Tony Khan. So I don't know if Tony Khan, he might run to the courts, might do a defamation lawsuit or something on CM Punk. I don't know. But now there's, people are going to look at Tony Khan sideways, because it's like, so what's the truth? Like, did CM Punk try to lunge at you or not? Which one is it? So this is a mess. This is a mess. I don't know. I just think that this whole I'm going to get to Tony Khan. I mean, what is next? What is next? Oh, he also claimed that Tony Khan is not a Tony Khan is a good guy, but he's not a boss. Of course, we all knew that. Like, he doesn't act like a boss. Like, just because you put CEO or thing in front of your name doesn't mean that you're that. Someone said that if you have to constantly tell yourself that you're something, you're really truly not that person, and that's really what Tony Khan is. So there's that. What else? Or Hangman Adam Page. At this point, I'm tired. I'm so tired of this whole Hangman Adam Page saga thing. This whole conversation with that, because I feel like it's been dragged out too much now. But whatever. I'm just gonna discuss it briefly. So he basically said that, him and Hangman Adam Page behind the scenes, they discussed what they were gonna see on a promo. They go out. Hangman Adam Page basically blindsides Punk, goes into business for himself. He goes backstage. Hangman Adam Page was just like, I don't care. You try to you got my friend fired. You get, but whatever. So there's that. I think I don't care at that point, because it's like I've heard the story too many times now, and it's just like I'm over it. The only thing I really cared about was the whole Jack Perry situation and what happened with there. So of course he talks about what else he talked about? Oh, he really went in. He said he really went in on AEW. I'm not gonna lie. He went in on AEW, and I saw Cody Rhodes' reaction, because Cody Rhodes also went on Ariel Helwani, and to and Ariel Helwani basically, asked Cody Rhodes about CM Punk's comments about AEW. So basically, CM Punk flat out didn't stutter, didn't nothing. Basically said that AEW is not a real business. Like, it's wrestling, but it's not like the wrestling business, right? They're not there to make money. They're not there to sell tickets. They're not there to build the brand. And Ariel Helwani acts, and listen, Ariel Helwani is he is so he. This is why I like his interviewing skills. He was just like, oh, what are they then? What are they? So then CM Punk was just like, and that's the part where he hesitated a little bit. He was just like, I guess they're just to book matches, just to, flip, flop around. No, he didn't say that part, but like, I'm just adding that, flip, flop around. That's basically what he said. He's just like, listen, AEW is not there to better themselves. They're not there to become what we've all known wrestling to be. They're just there to be like the niche, cater to the internet marks, bada bing, bada boom. And honestly, when I heard that, and mind you, CM Punk said this like at least 3-4 times in this interview. So I was just like, wow. Like, whew, ciao. And I know that's ruffling a lot of feathers. You already have Cody Rhodes over here defending the company, even though Cody Rhodes was defending, oh no, that's not what it is. I saw that apparently. I think that Edge, or AKA, well, Adam Copeland, AKA Edge, apparently responded to CM Punk. I need to go watch that, but like, it is what it is. But CM Punk was talking the way he was talking about the wrestling business. He was not talking like, and I'm actually surprised that he has this mindset, because it's like, I feel like people like Eric Bischoff, people like Vince Russo, people, the ones that like want wrestling, that want wrestling to be at its highest, like it was in the past, to gain ratings and so forth. Unfortunately now, like, it seems like wrestling in general, they cater to a very niche audience. They don't want to broaden the audience. So when I was pleasantly surprised to hear CM Punk talk about like ratings and merch, business, building the brand, ticket sales, and so forth. So he was, CM Punk was talking like a businessman. He was talking like a businessman in this interview, and I was pleasantly surprised to hear this. I was like, wow, like he's really talking about ratings. It's like, like, because it's like anytime anybody bring up ratings, oh my God, it's not the same what it used to be. This is not the 90s. Da, da. But he was bringing it up. He was like, listen, like we need, if we're gonna become mainstream, if we're gonna be battling with the WWE, and obviously he's gonna be, just in context of AEW, you're gonna have to build your ratings up. You're gonna have to. So it's like having real glass in a wrestling. That's not gonna work. That's not going to work. And this is coming from CM Punk that used to be an indie guy. So I'm actually, this man. Listen, you can tell CM Punk has grown a lot. He has grown significantly. So so that was good to hear. So of course Ariel Helwani tried to, press CM Punk to get some more info on that brawl out situation. And CM Punk was like, listen, there's an NDA. Like there's an NDA. I'm surprised, like, anyway, there's an NDA involved. So it's just like he couldn't really get into it. He couldn't get into it. So I know Ariel was like, I wish I could have got that info. Because, Ariel Helwani couldn't get that from tonykhan, so he wanted to get out of CM Punk. But at least, listen, Ariel Helwani got a lot from CM Punk in this interview. Like, shout out to him. Like, this interview already has, like, 1 million views. So, it says here, apparently, that, after the whole brawl out thing, and CM Punk was sent, because, he had to go get surgery and so forth. Apparently, for, like, those 6 months, nobody was talking to CM Punk. Like, nobody, like, tonykhan didn't reach out, nothing to discuss, like, what was gonna happen after this, like, what was gonna happen. Punk said that there was just radio silent. And Ariel Helwani was like, he was confused. He was like, what do you, like, how is that even a thing? Like, what do you mean, like, nobody spoke to you after Brawler? Like, nobody reached out, nobody, like, the boss, like, even if there was going to be repercussions for you, why didn't tonykhan or anybody from management reach out? And Punk was like, he doesn't know. He doesn't understand why. It just was what it was, and he had to accept it. And he wanted to leave, but tonykhan said, listen, no, like, I don't want you to go, and I'll just give you your own show. So, I mean, this is just a mess. This is while I'm going through this, I'm just shaking my head all over again. Because when I was listening, I actually think I might go listen to this interview again, because it was an amazing interview. I think I'm gonna have to go listen to it again. I really do, because it's like they really got into some things. So the irreparable relationship. So he kind of, even though he didn't mention his name, but he kind of a little bit, sort of threw, Dave Meltzer caught astray. Dave Meltzer definitely caught astray in this interview. As far as, like, so CM Punk says that, like, he feels like the elite never really wanted him in AEW to begin with. That's how he feels. Like, he genuinely believes that. I don't know. And then Ariel, when he asked him, he was like, why do you think that? Like, why do you? He was just like, just certain, and then CM Punk was just like, just certain things that happened even before Brawl Out, the interactions and so forth. And to me, I can kind of see that, because I think that the elite want Punk in AEW to spite WWE, but I just don't think that they really liked him, personally, and maybe it could be true. It could be true. So CM Punk was just like, he just doesn't think that they ever wanted him there. But he did say that there were some good things that happened in AEW. Like, he had got to work with Sting, so which was good, Darby Allin, so forth. He mentioned MJF. And he said that, MJF is cool, but it's like he didn't, like, there was a certain moment where MJF was, like, catering to, like, the internet community. So I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard about MJF in a minute. Like, his name hasn't been buzzing for a while lately, so he needs to get that together. Because before I felt like I used to hear MJF a lot, but now MJF is not. He's not being buzzed around. I don't know. But yeah, so CM Punk was just like, he still has friends in AEW. He doesn't want to throw them under the bus, but it's like overall, like AEW is just not for him. He's learned his lesson with that, and he's just gonna move on. He's just gonna move on. And Ariel Helwani was just like, what, like, do you think that Tony, like, no, he was like, why, don't they want you back? Or, Tony Khan too? Like, and no, CM Punk was like, yes, I do think that Tony Khan still wanted me to be there. And even now, if he were to have me back there, he would have me back there. But it's just like, it is what it is. Like, AEW is not a business of making money. That's what he kept saying. Like, he kept trying to legitimize that. Like, AEW is not a place for making money, or like for the business, like for the company to make money, for the company to grow, for the company to sell merch. So he kept reiterating that. And at this point, y'all, being that he's been there, I think that we need to take CM Punk's word for it, at least for that. At least for that. I know I was dragging him in the beginning of this video because it's like just with him in the history. At least with WWE, they want to make money. So that's their thing. But CM Punk was just like, listen, AEW is just not it. AEW is just not it. They're just not it. That's basically what he was like. That's basically what he was saying. So that's what he said. So yeah, it's basically that. I'm about to wrap up, but like, he was also discussing. Ariel Helwani asked him, oh, did you regret when you first came into AEW and you sort of skipped over your WWE career? Like, and CM Punk was like, oh yeah, I regret that, because it was like, I was also, because, CM Punk did admit, this is what I was talking about, how sometimes CM Punk can be a little bit two-faced. But CM Punk did admit that, he was also somewhat catering to the internet, the niche audience too, because when he basically said, oh, I started out in the indies in 2005 and I jumped and basically tried to erase my WWE career and jumped to AEW, he was catering to that specific audience. So he does that too, in a way. CM Punk, that's the thing about CM Punk as well, I noticed within this interview, and this is why I gotta give my criticism of him. CM Punk, a lot of times I do think that he likes to dish it, but he can't really take it, I feel. And there are times where I do think that he's a bit thin-skinned and sensitive, especially when he talks about like social media. Like you can see it in his face, like when he talks about social media, when he talks about the dirt sheets and the, and so forth. It's just like, I was just thinking to myself, like, man, a lot of these wrestlers, and don't get me wrong, yes, CM Punk has been here for a long time, but like a lot of these, the CM Punks of the world, these youngins, they couldn't survive in the Attitude Era. They couldn't survive in the because the audience back then was bigger, so there was more scrutiny and there was more attention during those times. So it's like the fact that y'all are so like thin-skinned over like trolls and social media, especially when I see Tony Khan like going off and going crazy on social media. It's like, man, y'all would have fell, like y'all would have been down bad in like during the times where wrestling was like at its height, at its highest, because there was just so much scrutiny. And even though it was at its highest and it was popular, there was still the popular you are, the more scrutiny there is. So y'all can barely even handle social media trolls. I don't know, but whatever. No, but he was basically talking about that and everything like that. Overall, listen, I'm about to go listen to this interview again because CM Punk was spilling tea. He was spilling tea. But I do want to, oh God, Tony Khan. I don't think that he's ever gonna change. And I discussed Tony Khan on my channel at length. Now y'all can go to my wrestling talk playlist. He's not gonna change. I genuinely believe that Tony Khan is a mark. he genuinely believes that wrestling is real. Like, he he's a fan. Um, and listen, you can. I'm not saying that you can't. Vince McMahon was a fan of, like, what was his name? Dr. Jerry Graham. So I'm not saying that these people shouldn't be fans of wrestle. Like, I'm not saying that, but at a certain point, and of course I had to draw the comparisons and the inspirations. I get it. Vince McMahon is public enemy number one right now, but right now I'm just trying to use him as like an example. But Vince McMahon knew when to put his foot down when it came to his wrestlers. There was structure in place. Vince McMahon also had people in place so that these things should not and could not happen. And Vince, you know what's so crazy too, and cmpunk pointed this out. He was like, from what, like, the era where I grew up and how I came up, when two guys got into a fight or a fight happened, okay, yeah, we do that, but we're also gonna bring it. Okay, let's also make some money off of this. That's literally what I've been saying all this time. I'm like, yo, Tony Khan could have used this to his advantage. And you call yourself a wrestling fan at that? It's like, sir, you weren't. He was clearly watching the times in WWE where the whole Edge and Matt Hardy and Lita situation was going on. Like, there have been many situations where, you know, two people have not gotten along in the wrestling business, and Vince McMahon made sure to, like, there was a whole situation with Eric Bischoff and Ric Flair in WCW, where there was a whole lawsuit involved, and guess what? They brought it on TV. You made some coin out of it. Why didn't you just do that? To me, the fact that Tony Khan, I don't know if he's scared. Like, I think it's probably, it could be that he's not confrontational. He's not willing to really be the boss. Then you shouldn't be the boss, fam. If you can't handle situations where your workers are being volatile and so forth, then you shouldn't be in that position. Bring somebody else. Bring somebody else in there to do the heavy work for you, because you're not doing it. You can't do it. You're too scared to do it. Like, it's this pussycat behavior, and it's like, Tony, oh my God. At this point, nobody respects him anymore. I don't think nobody really respects Tony anymore. Like, it's just like the way he behaves. And it's like, on top of that, I said it before and I'll say it again. Tony Khan is an internet warrior. He will talk all this crap. He will tweet at Eric Bischoff and so forth on the internet. But yet, when people go in scrums, or when people confront him, or when there's an alleged lunging at, he will be like, oh, well, my life was in danger, or I was scared, or I don't want to answer that, and so forth. It's just like, Tony Khan is also a troll, low key. Like, he's one of those trolls on social media that he complains so much about. So it's like, and on top of this, like, when you get confronted, you're all scared and you don't know what to do. You don't act like a boss. You don't look like a boss. So nobody's going to treat you like a boss. And now you have people, a former AEW employee, CM Punk, out here talking about that you don't know how to run a company, that your company ain't shit, and that you don't want to make money, and your company will never grow. So why even have a company when you don't want your company to grow, Tony? Why? I'm going to end this by saying, Ariel Helwani asked CM Punk, do you think that AEW will still be here a couple of years from now? CM Punk said that as long as Tony Khan keeps pumping money into the company, then it will keep going. But my issue is, but how long is this? First of all, how long is Tony Khan's dad going to keep giving him money to pump money into a wrestling company that's not making any money? You're just losing money. You're burning everything to the ground. I don't know. I don't know how long this is going to go on. It's already been, 5 years with AEW. If AEW does not get their ish together, we'll see how long this lasts. We'll see how long it lasts, because this is not making no sense. This is not making no sense at all. at all. And people can come, Adam Copeland, and I love you, Adam, but you can come here all you want and defending and doing all this stuff. The math is not mathing right now with AEW, figuratively and literally. But I will say this though about CM Punk. This needs to be the last of it though with him. At this point, you were in WWE, you were in AEW, you had bad experiences with both. Especially with WWE at one point, but now you said that water under the bridge, even though I think that's all fake, but you're doing your business thing. You're not here to make friends. You're not here to make friends, blah blah. This needs to be the end. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. I know CM Punk says that all the lies and people lied on him, and I also don't think that not everybody is also like. At a certain point, there's probably certain parts where CM Punk was also a little bit of a problem. And while, yes, we can look at the big dogs, we can look at the bosses like the Vince McMahons, the Triple H's, the Tonykhans, and they all have their flaws. But at the end of the day, when you go to one company, there was a problem. You go to another company, there was a problem. And you go back to the same company that gave you a problem and try to fix things. And if something happens again at WWE, nobody's going to feel bad for CM Punk anymore. Done deal. We're over it at this point. We're done with the complaining. So, anyway, I am hanging this up, y'all. Tell me what you guys think. I know this video was long, but I wanted to get into it. But please tell what you guys think in the comment section below. Did you guys enjoy this interview? How do you guys feel about this interview? Tell me what y'all think. Tell me y'all thoughts. Make sure y'all stay subscribed to the channel. Make sure y'all do subscribe to the channel. The goal is to get it up to 1,000 subscribers. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.